exciting session of the DMR. This is a special session. Steve is bringing in Doug Osborne, who is waiting in the wings, to follow up on the conversation that Steve did last week in his charter school session about the one key difference between people who are killing it and those who are still struggling. Oh, sorry, yes, I guess. Can you see my screen and hear my voice? I should have checked on that. Hi, Phil. Yep. Suvio, Charles. Good, good. Glad to see you, Derek. Rodney, all right. So anyhow, like I was saying, actually, let's do this standard disclaimer here. Okay. Nothing presented in this webinar or video presentation, either vocally or visually, is to be taken as trading advice. We can't give it to you. We're not licensed. Content is for educational purposes only. Any trades you take should be your decision. It's fine to take input from other people, but you know, if someone else tells you to take a trade and you don't understand why, just ask yourself: if you lose, are they going to give you your losses back? And speaking of losses, don't trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Okay? All right, so as I was saying, last week Steve had a fantastic session in charter school. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's in the DMR, regular DMR videos from the 24th of February. And he was talking about, one of the topics he was talking about was homework, which is the key difference, okay, between people who are succeeding and people who are still struggling. Okay, look, life gets in the way, and things happen, but the reality is the people who succeed. The difference with the method and those who don't is that the people that do succeed are willing to do the stuff that the ones who don't won't. Okay, and one of those, probably one of, if not the biggest thing, is homework. All right, Steve talked about people, and we all know them. People have been struggling. They've been around for a couple of years and still really are struggling. Whereas, he's had a couple people come in recently, less than 2 months. They've almost tripled their demo account. Okay, and the difference is they are killing it on homework. So now a lot of people say, well, I do a lot of homework. Well, okay, there's looking at charts, and look, you hear practice makes perfect. Okay, that's bullshit. Perfect practice makes perfect. So with that in mind, Steve wanted Doug to come in because Doug has a very well thought out process for doing homework, and that is what he's going to share tonight. Okay? Now, Doug may go a little fast because he's got a lot of stuff to cover, but it's a great presentation, and it is being recorded, and so you'll be able to listen to it as many times as you want. So with that, I will shut up and pass over to Doug. Doug, are you ready?
I am ready. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I'm making you and I'm going to mute.
Okay. How are you doing, everyone? I hope everyone is well, and as Joe said, I am going to be kind of going a little bit fast, particularly in the beginning, because what we're going to be doing is, as you can see on the screen, hopefully, is an all-encompassing look at your platform and the historical level markup within. We're not just going to be going right into the homework. We have to look at the platform. We got a lot of new people coming in, a lot of people that are confused with the platform, all sorts of things. Quick note about me, though. I've been with Steve since the very beginning. I know it's kind of standard to do the introduction so you know where I'm coming from. I've been with Steve actually since the end of his initial teaching stint with the school that shall not be named. I was in the last class with Carr and Marta and other notable members, and I was kind of the last to see success primarily because I did not do homework. And I didn't do homework because, well, for several reasons. One, it's frustrating to do homework inside of the platform. I understand that, but also a lot of that is because I didn't learn the platform like I should. Another reason is, and I find this is the biggest problem, is I just I sat down and I know I'm doing this right. As Joe just said, perfect practice makes perfect. And when you sit down and you start doing that homework, and within 5 damn minute you see something, you're like, what is this? What is this, level 3? I'm on like level 7 now. What do I do? So it can become a little intimidating. But that's where Steve comes in. And now you have Jim, you got Joe, and with this new study group, you got me as well as a couple other people that you can ask. But back then we had Steve. So I know it can be a bit intimidating to actually sit down and get started with the homework, as well as, like Joe just mentioned, life gets in the way and whatnot. So you have to have a proper plan as well and go about it systematically. So it took me a while to actually sit down and actually do the homework, and I actually wound up learning how to program the code to help me to do homework within the terminal, because the terminal, the MT4 platform is kind of abysmal for doing homework, but it is vital. We have the WSM viewer for, really zeroing in on the patterns and the entries, but you still really got to know your levels, and nothing beats doing the homework inside the terminal, inside the MT4 platform for getting to know your levels. So until I actually started doing that, things just went about means and blowing accounts. And, I was just having a conversation with somebody about this. One of the key traits, as Joe just mentioned, that Steve was talking about last time, and Steve's mentioned this quite frequently, the big difference between people that succeed and the people that want to do homework. And I was one of those people that I would constantly, I've been to probably 7, maybe 8 of the live meetups, and several of them I'd stop by and I'd talk to Steve, and I'm having this trouble. Can you help me out? I don't know what's going wrong. Yeah, sure. You send me the homework, send it directly to me. I'll check it. I'll see what's up, and then we'll see what's wrong, and we'll see if we can't get you on track. Guess how much homework I sent him? 0. Maybe a couple charts, and then I'd fall off the wagon, so to speak, and I'd be right back into my bad habits of not doing homework. And on top of that, even when I started doing a massive amount of homework, it still took me probably twice as long as most people to finally get on track and start seeing success, because I had just got done with 4, maybe 5 years of horrible, impatient entries, first leg crap, not knowing which level I am, trading back against the peak, all because I didn't do the homework. And those bad habits can really ingrain themselves. So that's just a little bit about me, and a little bit of a extra diatribe about the importance of homework and the dangers of actually not doing the homework for a lengthy period of time, because you will ingrain bad habits. Okay. So why exactly are we going over the terminal? To begin with, as I was saying before, we have a lot of new folks in the group, not just the study group, but the DMR in general. They're new to the platform. A lot of people are coming in from different proprietary platforms. Say if you're with Owanda or FXCM, you're using their web platform or whatever, and seeing as how we kind of do everything with all the indicators, everything custom for MT4, it's a new environment for them to learn. Some people are new to Forex in general. We got people coming from TradeStation. I just heard TradeStation has given up Forex altogether, so now they have to learn an entirely new platform. So that's why we're going to be covering the platform in the beginning. I know it's going to be very basic for a lot of you, but there's still going to be some things that you'll probably learn that you weren't aware of. And there's also a lot of general confusion about really what am I supposed to do in here, and why do it this way, why do it that way, and how do I use certain things within the terminal. To my surprise, a couple weeks ago, somebody was completely flabbergasted as to really what the point of the profiles were, and they didn't realize that they could save templates of their homework. So these are all things that you need to know. Okay, your business does depend on it. This is the one tool that you have really to implement your business. You may use programs in your current job from day to day, maybe Excel, maybe Word, but your entire job most likely isn't dependent on it. Here, it pretty much is. So you got to get good at your platform. Now the first step is really knowing your platform inside and out. Now MetaTrader it's very robust, but it's also, the documentation is kind of blah. unless you're really into dry reading, then hey, it explains everything. But to explore it yourself, there's like 3 or 4 different ways to do most things, and some things are hidden, some things have hotkeys, others don't, and it can be a bit of a nightmare. But primarily you want to know your toolbars, which are the buttons up top. And we're going to get to this. I'm not just going to be doing slides. I'm going to go into the platform in a second. You need to know what your windows and your panes are, because when you're dealing with asking for help, me, Car, anybody else, and we tell you to go to a certain thing, you don't know what the hell we're talking about. Or sometimes we do a screen share. I know I help a lot of people via TeamViewer, and we do a screen share, and I say go to your terminal, and they completely don't know what I mean. Because they think the platform equals the terminal. But the terminal is actually a window inside the platform, and you need to know that. Those kind of things. The menus, those are the words up top. File, chart, time frame, etc., all that kind of stuff. Help. And your native hotkeys. I'm going to be kind of harping on the hotkey kind of thing because it helps you. To be able to navigate your terminal really quickly. If you can do things in 1 second as opposed to 10 seconds, you're just going to be a lot more comfortable, first of all, and you won't be so intimidated by the damn thing. Specifically, again, when you're being helped out by somebody or we're trying to offer help, and I say go here, if you can get there to a hotkey, you don't have to go hunting around for a button. I've seen people click 4 buttons before they find the thing that I'm talking about, which is a place that they should know how to get to anyway. Okay, so we'll get right into it. Toolbars, those are the buttons up at the top. Those are the line studies, standard, time frames, charts. If we go into our MetaTrader, that's all these things up here. These funky looking things. All right, you can remove each one of these if you so choose. You can actually undock it. That's what it's called, undocking. You can remove it, and you can take a look and say, okay, well, there's my charts toolbar. Those are all the things on my charts toolbar. Now, as you can explore these, and you can see if you hover over them. Well, actually, for some reason, it's not doing it right now. There we go. If you hover over it, you're going to get a little hotkey. So, if you want to zoom in or zoom out, look, you can hit the plus or the minus button. Things like that. I'm not going to go over each one. And I know some of you are going, really? He's talking about this right now, but it's really important instead of hunting this stuff down. Now, you can customize your toolbars, and I would recommend you do so because most of this stuff you don't need. In order to customize your toolbars, all you have to do is right-click on any toolbar, and you can go down to Customize. Now, when you go down to Customize, and we'll do something, for example, over here. All right? First, let's see which toolbar this is. If we undock it, we see that's the standard toolbar. Okay? I'm going to put this back up here. Well, I went over here. If I right-click and I go to Customize, I can see a bunch of stuff I might not need. Whoever uses the data window. So I'm going to remove that. Now, everything over here that's underneath the selected, that's the stuff that's actually on your toolbar. Here's some additional stuff that's not on your toolbar, and it obviously says available. You can add stuff from over here by clicking on the thing that you want and then hitting Insert, and it'll put it over there, okay? And I'm not sure which one that was. That was the symbols. Okay. Symbols is now highlighted on the selected. If I want to get rid of that, I'm going to remove that. We don't use the data window. Most people don't use the data window. I'm going to remove that as well. Strategy tester, most people don't use that. I'm going to remove that as well. My point here is you want to clean this up. You only want to have the stuff on there that you need, because when you're looking for certain things and you're hunting around, it can be bothersome, it can be tiresome, it can be a huge annoyance, and before you know it, you just hate working in your platform. And that will lead to some of the frustration of, I don't even want to do homework. Because we'll find all sorts of excuses not to do homework. And if you can't stand working within your platform, that's one hell of an easy excuse for your brain to latch onto. Okay? As I said, hovering for the hotkeys. For example, like I was showing before, these line charts, the candlestick, etc. If I want to change this, all I have to do is hit Alt-1 or Alt-2 or Alt-3. I don't have to go hunting around there. And that's pretty simple to memorize, those kinds of things. Search around. take a couple minutes every day and just, memorize like one hotkey per day. In a couple weeks, you got this whole thing memorized. And all of a sudden, operating within the platform is going to be a breeze. All right, your windows and your panes. Your individual movable and manipulatable boxes, those are your charts, your indicator list, your alert boxes, and MT4 itself. This is kind of pedantic. Those are your windows. Your panes are your embedded windows that are docked. And what I mean by that is the market watch, the navigator, and the terminal. If we go back to the platform, and if I open up my indicator list, here's a great example of why you need to know what we're talking about. Most people will access this indicator list by right-clicking, and they go to the indicator list. And see how it says Control-I? I'm going to bring that up. Bam, Control-I. Now, this is your indicator list, okay? Most people know that, but this thing over here that has all of our indicators and our scripts and everything, this is called the navigator. And you need to know that because I cannot tell you how many times I've been trying to help somebody and say, go to your navigator or open your indicator list, and they'll go to the different one. I'll say open your indicator list, they come to the navigator. I say go to your navigator, they open the indicator list. So that's why it's important to know these kind of things. And while you can access with your navigator, you can also access with Control-N. You want the market watch? Control-M. Your terminal, okay? That's down here. This is a demo count. I primarily do homework in here. This is your terminal. You can access all of these with Control-T, Control-N, Control-M. And it's fairly quick and simple, and it doesn't require you to hunt for one of these. Most people misclick about 3 or 4 different buttons before they finally get to the thing they want. Again, all rather simple, but very important. It's always the nuances that screw you up. Pay attention to the hotkeys, learn the hotkeys, and access them primarily through your hotkeys. Learn them, but you can access these through multiple ways. If you don't like hotkeys, then don't do it. Your menus, those are the words up at the top of the platform. Every program in existence has a menu bar, but that's what we're talking about when we say the menu bar or up at the menu. You should at least know that's what it has up there, those 7 things. Everything that you can possibly access is in there, and when you're dealing with them, if you look, you see something that you obviously are doing a lot. Accessing your navigator. See how it has it? It has all the hotkeys in here. Most people are amazed to find that these are actually in there because it's a lot of noise. People don't often pay attention, but it's there. So figure out the things that you use most often and look and see, oh wow, it has the hotkeys. Properties. How many people go into the properties over here by right-clicking and then going properties when maybe you want to put the show ask line or you want to change the color to something, and you can simply just use F8 and bring the same thing up. Simple, but it makes everything a hell of a lot easier. Yeah, more hotkeys, but we can skip that. Okay, so now we're going to cover one of the most confusing parts for most people is setting up the platform for actual markup. Okay, for actually being able to do a large swath of markup and common settings that actually make things a hell of a lot easier, but most people don't even realize that they're there. First, we're going to deal with the objects. Now, objects, when I talk about objects, objects are the rectangles, the ellipse, the trend line, that kind of stuff. They are known as objects. That's what they are. They're on the line studies, what do you call it, toolbar there. See, I don't even know what it's called, right? They're on the line studies, but they're known as objects within the platform, within the program. Your first order of business, we already covered, is remove unnecessary crap from the toolbar that you don't use. We don't use GAN lines. We don't use certain things. I'll take a look right now. Okay, I put a couple extra on here just to show what I'm talking about. We don't use equidistant channels or linear regression channels, so I'm going to customize. I'm going to get rid of that. So equidistant channel, remove. Linear regression, remove. I don't even really use the arrows, so I'm going to remove that. I pretty much only use these, and there we go, vertical line, horizontal line, trend line, and the crosshair. And I never even use the crosshair up here. If you don't know this, most people don't know this for some reason. If your mouse has a middle button, the scroll wheel, if you just click that, it'll bring up the crosshair. Saves you a lot of time from going up here, constantly going up here, and then you lose your place. Oh, where was I? Oh, that's right. Let me go back. Okay. That's all done with there. Customizing the toolbar. If you want to take a screenshot of that, you can do that real quick. Yes, I also forgot to mention you can change the position of the objects on your toolbar by using the up-down over here. So if you click on one of these things and then up-down, it'll actually change the position of the button on the toolbar. Okay, now object settings. This is pretty cool. You have two ways to access it. You can use your menu up top and go Tools, Options, and then Objects tab, or Control-O for your hotkey. And what we're going to do, I'll bring that up right now. Control-O, that'll bring up the objects, all right? Or this will bring us up the options dialog box, the options window. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to objects. Now, these are the settings that I find most useful, okay? And I'll show you why, but I'm going to go to the next slide so you can take a screenshot of that. Just make sure you have it so you don't forget. And, of course, this is being recorded. So we have a couple things that are different from the default. I think by the default the magnet sensitivity is 10 and none of this stuff is selected. So we have select object after creation and select object by single mouse click. What does this do? Well, when I draw an object, it automatically selects it. You know how normally you draw an object and then you have to double click it to get these little boxes? Well, I like to have my stuff draw automatically and select. This way I can drag and drop or automatically resize it without having to double click or right, it's a bit of a pain, okay? Now, I have a hotkey program. Some of you may start wondering, like, how did he just draw a rectangle? I'll get into that later. I'll explain the hotkey program that I made, but I could just hit a couple of hotkeys and draw my objects. It just makes it easier for me. You can press control, and then drag if you click on one of these squares, but I prefer to pretty much draw everything because, with the hotkey program that I made, it just makes it a lot simpler to draw to the exact specifications. If you draw something and then you're copying it, each level is not the same exact size, so you have to click on it again and then resize it. I just prefer to do it that way, but I know you can't do that right now with the hotkeys, but still, using your button up here, okay, it selects it automatically. Now, the other option that I had selected is select object by single mouse click. This way, you can just click on it once, and it selects, okay? Now, a cool thing about this is that if I want to automatically access the properties, I don't have to click and then right-click and go to rectangle properties. What I can do is I can just double-click it, and that brings up the properties automatically. Saves you a lot of time. If you're constantly, different color boxes, different color trend lines, whatever you're doing, having that select by single mouse click allows you to just double click real quick and it brings up the properties automatically, or single click to deselect and now it's locked. Magnet sensitivity 0 pixels. Magnet sensitivity is kind of like autocorrect. What it does is when you draw something, if you have that magnet sensitivity to say 10 pixels, when you draw something, and some of you may have noticed this, you go to draw something and you place it at one spot and then all of a sudden it kind of resizes down a little bit. It'll snap to the top of the candle. And that's what it's doing. It's basically autocorrect for the objects. The platform enables you to put in a magnet sensitivity so it will always snap to the nearest candle or whatnot if you're not trying to be accurate. But your best bet is just get rid of that so it's not resizing. Okay, the next biggest portion, history. Everyone's always asking, I can't, my charts don't go past a certain point, and even if they do, there's nothing there. It won't go past a certain point. Well, that's because you don't have the history downloaded. You have to download the history, and we're going to show you how to do that now. We're going to be covering the history download, chart properties, because you could download all the history in the world, but if you don't have your charts set up to display the proper amount of bars, it's not going to do anything. We're going to cover templates, the utilization of templates for your homework, profiles, and the benefit sometimes of using offline charts. So first of all, history download. Menu access, you can go to Tools and then History Center. And the hotkey access for that is just F2. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the pair you want by untwirling the little menus. You need to double-click the pair, double-click the M1, because and some people are like, well, I don't want to do M1. M1 gives you the smallest fractional data that you can, basically the tick data. It gives you the most accurate data. If you're going to be doing levels, you don't want to go, okay, well, I'm going to download all the H1 history. You want to get the M1 so you have everything. Because what if you want to scale down to the 15-minute and start doing the entries? Even though we have the WSM viewer, what if you want to go down and have your entries on your historical markup? What if you get excited and you want to start doing TED count stuff and the 1-minute stuff? Well, you want the accurate data, so that's why we have to double-click the M1 to load that. Then you click download. A little Comcast joke there. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. So, Tools. Mouse is getting a little buggy. Tools, History Center. And as you can see, there's the hotkey. You can just hit F2. So I'll show you. I'm not in the menu. I just hit F2, and that will bring up the History Center. Okay, so let's find something I don't have. Okay. Remember, I said you have to find the pair that you want. For some reason, I'm a masochist and I want to learn how to trade the euro pound. So I double-click the euro pound, and that will create this little list here of all the available time frames. Everything's gray. These little database icons, they're all gray. We want to double-click the 1-minute. Now it turns into a little green and yellow. That says, okay, we've updated the records. Now all you do is you hit download. Now I'm going to do it just for a second here, just to show you. You're going to get this little warning that says, blah, 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 we can't be held responsible for the accuracy of the data. Basically, they're just saying you can't come back to us and complain about a trade because, the historical data was half a pip off or anything. So you click OK, and it starts to download. You just go do what you got to do. It depends on how fast your connection is, but I've seen it take 1 minute. I've seen it take a half an hour. So that's how you do it. Once you're done downloading, all of the data will now be in your chart. However, if you haven't changed your chart options yet, you won't be able to see most of the data, and we're going to go to that right now. Chart properties. To get there, you go to menu, up to your menu, and you go to Tools, then Options, then you have to click the Chart tab. But just like getting to the object properties before, you can just hit Control-O and go to the chart tab. I like to do, sorry, I'm all tabbing in front of you. How rude. I like to put 500,000 bars in history and max bars in chart 300,000. We'll do that in just a second, but the 300,000, that's going to enable you to scale all the way down to 15 minutes, the 15-minute time frame back until 2003. You don't even need, probably just do 100,000 or 200,000 if you want to go back to like 2010 or whatever. But okay, we're going to go Control-O to bring up the options dialog box. We're going to go to charts. Okay, here we have max bars in history. Just for this example, I'm only putting in 100,000, max bars in chart 100,000. Now, I already have it set up with 100,000 and 100,000. And the reason I have it at 100,000 right now is it gives me, I think I can go back to 2007 on the 1 hour chart with 100,000. When I do my own homework, I have the 500,000 and 300,000, but I will tell you right now, having that many bars in your chart will cause your platform, to run a bit slower. It just when you change the time frame or load up a new chart, it will take a bit longer than you're used to, and it'll give you that whole not responding thing and all that. So I set it for 100,000 for this presentation because it still gives us plenty of history to work with, and it's not slowing me down. So once again, Control-O, charts, the chart tab here, max bars in history, anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000, anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000. Actually, you just do 300,000, you're fine. Once you do that, though, you have to restart the terminal. I'm not the platform. I'm not going to do that right now because I already have it set up, and that'll just slow everything down. I guarantee it. With doing the presentation, my computer always runs slow. So that's how you need to get yourself set up with history download. You have to download the history, and you have to set up your chart to display all that history. Okay, templates. This is a vital portion because people lose their homework all the time. They do all their homework on their live charts, and it just becomes a mess. And they never really do homework on different charts, and they're really cheating themselves out of a vast amount of potential. Because as you can see, or as you're going to see once we get there, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with homework. It's not just, ooh, let me draw a rectangle here. Far from it. So, excuse me. I apologize. I'm actually just getting over being sick for like a week and a half. I still got some congestion, so I may occasionally have to mute myself. So templates. They're not just for the indicators. They're not just these things that have been magically put together for you and that you install and then poof, there you go, and you never touch templates again. I know it's been covered on like, okay, you can adjust certain indicators on there and then you save the templates, but what most people don't know is that you can save your objects on the chart. And all the indicators, actually, side note, just a little bit of information. All the indicators on here, by the way, you may have looked at this and been like, what the hell, what's going on? I don't understand. This is the price line grid. I just changed the colors on there. I don't like all the gray. It's kind of noisy for me, so I changed the colors. But all of these things on here, the Gartleys, the wings, everything, they're all objects that get drawn on there by the indicator. These are literally just horizontal lines that the indicator paints on there. So it's kind of the same thing as you drawing a horizontal line on there. It's just that the terminal is doing that because the indicator is telling it to. So all these indicators, like every tick, the platform is literally redrawing all these objects on there. So that's kind of important to remember because when you save a template, you're saving the indicators on there, right? But what you're really doing is you're saving the indicator application to the charts, but a lot of times you're literally saving the object on there. I do remember some of the indicators that we got for the AFP back in the day. I don't know if it's still like that, but if you zoomed out to like the daily, you could see a bunch of trend lines and rectangles and everything all the way over to the left, and that's because at one point Jim had he'd done a bunch of homework on it, marking up, check down and stuff, and when he saved the template, he just simply forgot to get rid of that stuff because it was all the way over to the left. So that's what we can use templates for, is we can do the homework and save all of our homework to a template that we can go back to at a later time. And that's going to be important because this will save you from doing all your homework on the same charts you're trading live, and then you have all this stuff on here and you just kind of don't get away from that chart. A lot of people they're afraid of going off of this one chart that they have because all my homework's there. Well, if you save it to a template, you can always reload it and go back to it later, which leads to the next. Never lose your work. You save a template, you never lose your work. Your computer crashes. You have to get a new computer. Something goes wrong with your terminal. You change brokers. Any number of things can happen where you have to use a different platform or a new computer, and all of a sudden all your homework's gone. That could be rather daunting, and I've seen some people who were doing homework who just stopped because they didn't want to go through that again, and they were just pissed off and, I lost everything, screw this. So it allows you to save all that stuff, never lose it, revisit your homework. One of the things I like to do on occasion is go back and redo homework that I've done previously. If I've done 2 years of CAD Yen, which no, I never did, but let's just say I did 2 years of CAD Yen, occasionally I'll go back and redo the same 2 years of level markup and see if I see anything differently. You know, you constantly need to be, pulling the weeds and seeing where you're progressing, if you are progressing, hopefully. And it allows you to send us level homework in templates instead of screenshots, sending us one template file that we can load up into our terminal, look at your levels, and check them is a hell of a lot better than having to look at 25, 50, 100 different images, and it also saves you a remarkable amount of time from having to take screenshots of all that stuff. So, saving templates is really easy. Most people probably already know this, but in the spirit of completeness, this little squiggly button up here, the one with the little chart, you can see the little chart on there. It's got the price action, and then it's got a little indicator down at the bottom. You click there, you click Save Template, you name it whatever you want. I mean, you can see all the homework that I've gotten from some people. I have a lot of my homework down here. So I have a ton of templates that are simply, they exist for no other purpose besides they have homework. So that's one of the ways you can do it. You can also right-click, and go to Template, and then Save Template. And it just brings up a prompt, just like any other, and you type whatever name you want. But if you are going to be sending it specifically, please, notice all of these have a very specific naming convention. They say the levels, the time frame, etc., and your name. But for your own work, just name it whatever you want, but at least keep it relevant. Oh yeah, the other one is the menu bar. You can go to Charts, then go to Templates, Save Template. This is what I was talking about in the beginning, 3 different ways to do the same thing. Okay, profiles. This seems to be a big thing of confusion. Profiles allow you to set up these individual workspaces. And again, I know some people might be just nodding out and shaking their head like, who the hell needs this explained to them? Some people do. They've never worked with these kind of things. So profiles allow you to just have this one little work area that's set up exactly how you like it. You can set it up and tailor it to your needs. Obviously, you can have any number of charts in there, 1, 2, 8, it doesn't matter. It provides you a distraction-free environment, especially when doing homework. I can't tell you how many times I would be doing homework or trying to do homework back in the day in my live trading workspace. Didn't matter that it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That didn't matter. I was still draw a couple boxes and then go look and try and hunt down a trade, even though it was 4 p.m., Dharma time or whatever it's called, and I had no business looking at the live market. So it does provide the distraction-free environment, and it gives you a modular approach to trading and homework, which we'll talk about in a second, but allows you to, just to keep everything in a nice little box that's separate from everything, modular. So to create a profile, toolbar and menu bar, you go up to the Profiles button, which is right here. This little, see, it's got 2 charts right here, your profiles. There is no hotkey for that up there, either and then save profile as or file profiles, save as, okay? When you do this, for example, we can see this profile. I'm down here in GBP-CHF, the GBP-CHF profile. When I save this as a new profile, it automatically makes this a new profile. I will no longer be in GBP-CHF, but you see the good thing about this is if I want to do something different right now, if I want to save a new profile, I can set the profile up immediately. I can close all 3 of these charts, and then I can just go in, Profiles, Save As, Test Profile. I'll just do this right now. Okay. Now down here you can see immediately I'm in the test profile. I'm in that new profile. This kind of freaks people out because they're worried about changing their other profiles. Now, if I go back and I see that GBP CHF, if I go back to that profile, I did that incorrectly. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's one of the things you don't want to do. All right, no big deal. So here's what you do. You save the profile first, then you get rid of the charts. I had a feeling I was doing that wrong. Save the profile first as your new profile and then modify it. So let's go to the Euro USD profile really quickly. And of course, that's probably going to freeze up. Yeah, it's going to freeze up. So while this is loading up, I'll just explain to you what you want to do, or what I recommend is have a profile that is homework centric. Okay. If you are working on pound dollar, have a pound dollar profile that's specifically there that you can do your homework in. Once again, you keep everything there. Nothing goes in there aside from pound dollar. And I don't know why this is freezing up right now. It's not loading. The benefit of this is there's, like I said, modular approach, there's nothing there for you to get distracted with. All of your work is in that profile. That's another big thing is people are always going, oh, man, I don't know where this work was. Somebody the other night just they were installing a second platform, and they kind of were freaking out a bit because they thought they overwrote all of their work and everything because they went back and they opened up the platform. They couldn't find their work. And it happened to be in just this big main profile with like 37 charts and whatnot. And as I explained, that's typically how people start doing their homework. They just have the big profile with all the different charts and they start doing homework. You don't want that because you're going to lose the stuff. Have it in different profiles. Okay, moving on. Okay, that was a bit of a mistake. The delete all charts should go after. You want to, oops. Yeah. You want to set up the profile, change the profile how you want it, then save it, and yeah, create the layout you want. Let me change this. No, I can't change it right now. Save it as a new profile, then delete all the charts and create the layout you want. That's how you want it. You can have homework per pair, or just you can think about it for trading as well. You can have a per session profile. If you're trading Asia and you have 36 charts down at the bottom, you have no business looking at EuroCAD at 9 p.m. Eastern. You just don't. There's no reason to. So you could set up a profile that's only Asia. Set up a profile that's only hourly. You could have your all-purpose, which is everything for your check down before you get started in London. A separate profile. Once you do all your check down, this is one of the things I like to do. Nowadays, I like to follow Steve as closely as possible. I do my check down. I find which ones are in certain levels, level 3, level 1, which ones have Gartleys. I narrow it down to the most likely setup. I take a couple notes, like, okay, these are the pairs I want to watch, and I go into a different profile that is my trading profile, I'm watching these profile, and then I just apply the charts in that profile. So I'm only looking at the ones that I liked during my check down. So these are how you use the profiles, but and most people know that as far as like, oh, let's have a trading profile, but a lot of people don't really think about doing it with homework and how it can save you a lot of time in looking for, oh gee, where did I put that homework? Offline charts. Offline charts, you can open a chart that does not receive tick data, and one of the benefits is it's again distraction free. If you're looking at an offline chart, there's no lure or urge to go look at the live data, especially if it's 3 p.m. and like I said before, you have no business looking at the market at that time. Well, for most people, then just open an offline chart. If you don't need to change time frames, if you're just doing level 1, or your levels on the H1 or levels on the H4. Maybe you're just doing 15-minute entries. If you're working on a specific time frame, there's no need to change time frame. Open an offline chart. And it offers free object deletion as well. And I'll show you what I mean. When you draw an object, you can hit backspace to get rid of it, okay? But one of the problems is, what did I say before about the indicators drawing objects on the chart at a constant rate? See, the problem is when you hit backspace, even if it's deselected, what backspace does is it removes the last drawn object. Now, I'm hitting backspace, and it's not removing it, okay? And it's not removing it because since I've drawn it, a tick has come in to the platform and all the indicators redrew objects. So I'm literally fighting against a platform that is redrawing about 1,000 objects every second. You're not going to win. So what you can do is you go up to File, Open Offline. It'll open this Open Offline chart window. And what you have to do is you have to pick the pair and you have to pick the time frame. As soon as it's done not responding, because, it likes to do this. And it disappeared. That's fun. Okay, well, it'll probably show back up in a second. Oh, yes, it did. All right. So you can start typing. If you want to do Euro USD, you can start typing Euro USD. Look how it jumps down to Euro USD. I want to do the 1 hour, so I'm going to open this up. I'm going to click on the H1. I'm going to open that up. It's going to open an offline chart. It's going to be blank, So apply. I used the default. I have it set to default. You have to apply the template that you want to apply, and as soon as that loads, now I can draw as many objects as I want and start hitting backspace if I want to undo any of the objects. Again, time and efficiency, all right? So you don't have to right-click it and then delete object and then right-click the next one, delete object. It really helps. This is receiving no tick data, so all of this stuff is not being redrawn. It gets drawn once, it doesn't get redrawn, and then the only objects that it considers to be drawn are the ones that you just did. And then you can hit backspace to get rid of each one. Also, Control-Z undoes a recent delete. So if you deleted something and then oh crap, I didn't want to delete that, Control-Z, okay, that is your undo. Backspace to delete, Control-Z to undelete. All right. We're going to skip this because we're running low on time, and it's kind of pedantic here. All right. So now we have everything in order, but we need to have a blueprint, okay? There's three main types of homework, okay? We have focused or bigger picture. We have projection-based, and we have specialization, all right? The bigger picture, this is your snapshot vision. This is, the entire market view. This is, basically what we think of and what we do when we first sit down to a chart. We look at everything and process it, all right? It involves thorough analysis. You're looking at everything because you have to figure out everything. What's going on? What makes this a level? What makes this a peak? What's the TDI doing? And it is a necessary first step. You have to look at the bigger picture. As Steve says, if you can't see it in hindsight, you're never going to see it in foresight. So the bigger picture gives us a vertical top-down approach or a horizontal left to right. There's some that are pretty much just vertical. We're going to get to that. It also allows reverse engineering as well as criteria chunking, and we'll get to that in a second. But just so you know, there's no single right way, and you're going to benefit from trying different approaches. You saw all the different templates that I have. I try a bunch of stuff. But, for example, our bigger picture view allows us to look at this and go, okay, let me take this from a top-down approach. And I'm going to do some reverse engineering. And what did I mean by reverse engineering? That means finding your peak, find a peak, and I'm going to go back to the standard operation here. There we go. You're going to find your peak, find your next obvious peak, and then you're going to reverse engineer. You got your two peaks because the hardest thing for most people, especially real time, is going from the peak and figuring out what's what. So in reverse engineering, you're going to find your two peaks and then just kind of fill in the gaps in the middle. All right. Now looking at this, you could say, okay, well, we have our peak, we have our next peak down here, obviously, because it reversed and went all the way back up. So what's going on in the middle? All right. What are some of the things that we have to think about? Well, we have to think about crossovers, don't we? As far as we know, 1350 cross and the 200 cross, those are our level indicators. What are they telling us? Well, we have a level 1. Okay. Now it's also telling us we have a level 2. But what is this going on here? Is this another level? Is this one of those things where it's a level 2 here, even though the 50, 200 didn't cross? Or maybe, let's see, backspace, get rid of that, see? And maybe this whole thing is level 1. Okay, well, I don't like that right now, so we're going to leave this. We're going to call this maybe level 2. And then maybe this is level 3, and I've seen Carr before talk about, okay, this is a peak, because perhaps in real time we would have seen this as a reset. So this is kind of the path that you have to go when you're reverse engineering. Take some time to think about it. I was just going over some of this stuff with somebody yesterday, and they pointed out something that I had to really think about. He said basically talk to your chart. Yeah. You know what? Verbalize this stuff and work through the stuff in your head bit by bit as much as you possibly can, because that's the same thought process that you're going to have to go through in real time. Okay. So furthermore, let's see. Actually, before I get ahead of myself, the criteria trunking. That's what I was about to forget. I kind of did the criteria chunking here for a bit. Now, what I mean by that is, and this is more of a horizontal approach, okay? Criteria chunking would be, let me look at my levels first, okay? So we got level 3, and, okay, I'm going to be thinking about consolidation areas. So let me just take this consolidation area. I'm just going to draw around consolidation areas. This was consolidation, that's the stop hunt. This is consolidation. That's a stop hunt. That's obviously an intraday 50-50. It's bouncing off of the 13. And then here we have a lot of consolidation. And finally, this area of consolidation down here. Okay, I just all the consolidation areas, the levels. My next criteria, moving averages. So what do we have? We have that 1350 cross. We have the 5200 cross. We have the 5800 crosses that, as Carr talks about, sometimes that will be a strong indicator of, okay, we're going into level 3. Next up, well, what do we have going on with the TDI? Well, we have some divergence going on up here. Whoops. Sorry. We have a shark fin going on right here. Check that out. Second leg shark fin. What else? Oh, stop hunt there. We have a shark fin to the fixed 50. We have another shark fin over the market baseline. These are the kind of things that you want to think about when you're, this is the idea of chunking, okay? You're looking at one criteria at a time. Now, this is a good way to do it in the beginning, because when you're thinking vertically, see, that's more of a horizontal approach. When you're thinking vertically, you have a lot of stuff to keep in mind. Okay, here's my level. Here's my moving average. What's going on down at the TDI? Furthermore, when you start to zoom out, what's going on to the left? That sort of thing. So that's why you can take that, do the reverse engineering and criteria chunking, and get comfortable with it. A lot of people get frustrated because they're not comfortable with it, and they think they have to go from left to right, and they just have to go in this linear progression, left to right, and that's it. And that they should just be able to mark up the levels how Carr or Jim might do in a live presentation, and that's simply not the case. Sit down and think about it, and when you're done, when you've drawn everything, oops, sit there and think about it. What were they doing? Okay? Don't just mark up the levels and then send it and go, okay, well, this is my levels. Am I right? Obviously, you have to send it and ask if you're right. You have to ask questions. We're going to get to that. But think about what they're doing. Okay, this was level 1. What was I expecting? Why was this level 1? Well, they crossed the 13 over the 50. They closed at the extreme of the structure. They closed past the nadir, the middle of the structure. Shift, obviously. They trapped high. Okay? What would I have been expecting here? Well, obviously stop hunt. What did they do? They didn't really give a second leg, maybe down to the 15-minute, but we're on an offline chart. We can't go check that. But they gave us a shark fin on the TDI. And what do you know? Okay, you know what? I see what they did. They flipped this zone. They came back. They hit the stops of any of the breakout traders that started going short and piling on short as it came back down. They smacked into that, and there's a line. What is that? Well, that's 157.50. That's a sweet spot. Okay, so wow, isn't that amazing? They shot up, shifted right away after tapping into a sweet spot, stopping out anybody that went short. Next level, what am I expecting? Stop. They closed at the extreme of the structure. Stop hunt. Not too visible. They just kind of worked that 50 on the 15-minute at a sweet spot. What do you know? And let me look to the left. Wow, they kind of stopped and worked that previous trap area. Maybe showing people that they were going to bounce off the blueberry, going back up. These are the kinds that you want to, the kind of things that you want to ask yourself and think about. You don't want to just draw a bunch of boxes and circle stuff and draw lines and go, okay, well, yeah, that's good. That's level 1. That's level 2. That's level 3. On to the next thing. Like the guy said, talk to your charts. They are your friends. Get to know them. Okay, the next level of homework is projection. Now, we do projection homework in the WSM viewer, but that's more of a nuanced niche, like really focusing down. Of course, it has the 4 hour, it has the 1 hour, and it's a fantastic tool. If you're not using it, you're really missing out. So don't get me wrong in what I'm saying is some sort of anti-WSM viewer thing. It's absolutely not. But one of the things you can do in the platform that you can't do in the WSM viewer is just, one, consistently go from week to week, but also have your objects drawn on the chart and stay there. And that's what this helps you do. It provides you the snapshot vision with processing the entire market view through analysis, with thorough analysis, but it also gives you application. It allows you to simulate the real-time thought process, and it forces that vertical analysis that I was talking about before, which is your next step after the horizontal view and the chunking, which gives you the experience, the homework, and if you guys remember maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, or it might have been the beginning of the year when Jim did that special presentation, and he mentioned the concept of reason, our ability to make predictions and projections based on a reasonable amount of knowledge that we've gained. I'm paraphrasing there. I probably just made that horrible. I probably just screwed that up big time. But it provides you with all three, and I'll show you what to do. But when you're doing it, you want to take notes. Because if you're absolutely doing horribly on the projection, which you will at certain points, how are you going to know what your weaknesses are really without a reminder? What I mean by projection, see, I'm just going to hit backspace to get rid of all that. Love my offline charts. Love offline charts. So let's say we're right here, okay? And, well, now that we already know what's going on over here, let's take this on the hard right edge, all right? To do your projection, you want to work with your F12 key, okay? Your F12 is 1 bar at a time. And if and when you get my program, which I'll get too quickly. I know I'm kind of going over. I apologize about that. I had a lot more, but I'll round it up quickly. Maybe we can do another one at a different time. I don't want to keep everybody here. With the projection, you want to use your F12 key. Your F12 will move 1 bar at a time, all right? And your shift F12 will go back 1 bar. If you went a little bit farther, or you want to go back and reanalyze what you were seeing. Maybe you made a crappy projection. Like, do that. Just hit your shift F12. It saves you time from clicking and dragging your chart, and it provides you that real hard right edge kind. The best hard right edge view that you can get without the WSM viewer, but still allowing you to keep your objects on the chart. And what do I mean? So you want to start with your peak formation, right? You draw a box. And this is where it helps you with your real time, okay? In real time, you're going to have your box, and you're going to have to extend it, okay? A couple hours in, made a shift, but we're still not out of the peak formation, okay? Day is coming to the end. You're going to be redrawing your box. Okay, so now we got a 1350 cross. Hopefully nothing's blocking that over there. Let me move the go-to meeting. We see we get the 1350 cross. Okay, what is this telling us? Well, it is telling us that potential level 1. Don't forget, until things have anchored and we get out of level 1, that level 1 can always come back, obviously. So we draw our ellipse there right now. Okay, this is helping us with real time. What are we seeing? Well, it's coming down to the middle. It's coming down to that sweet spot. This is level 3. It could go all the way back up. But we move forward. Okay, we redraw. And now it's starting to shift. Oh, it's shifting below the middle. It's hitting the blueberry, the mayonnaise, the blueberry on the 15-minute. And now we're at the end of the day. It's closed at the extreme of the structure. We have the 1350 cross. Now what are we expecting? We're expecting some form of consolidation, okay? And we're expecting a stop hunt eye drop. And now we're here. This allows us to do a couple more things. Not just what are we expecting, but where are we expecting it to, okay? This is a combination of the levels and the mastery of figuring out where stuff is going to go. Where am I supposed to be looking? Okay, so we already know the answer. Okay, it's come down to this middle, but we had this other little nadir type behavior right here before it shifted down. And notice it stopped right there, and then it broke away. So where are we most likely to come up to? Two different areas I can see. The 50. Maybe looking for a 50-50 bounce, H1 50-50 bounce, okay, and up to flip this zone. We got a sweet spot, we have a middle, and we have 50 EMA. That's a nice confluence of events going on there. So what can we do? We start drawing a box there. Why? This is where our next area of consolidation is likely to happen. This is what we'd be doing in real time. We'd have a new box there showing, hey, you know what, here's level 1, okay, bar 1, or, time. Okay, I'm redrawing this box. Move one bar at a time. Okay, you know what? It's starting to break up. It's starting to break up a bit early, but now we officially have our level 1 consolidation, technically. Okay, now what am I looking for? I'd be drawing this line out to show, hey, you know what? I'm looking for a zone flip of some sort up there, but I also know it could come back for a third leg. They've been known to do that. They can do whatever the hell they want. Okay, one bar at a time, now we see a shift. If you want, you can even draw entries. Now, as you can see, this takes a bit longer, but I'm also explaining everything as I go. But this is a more nuanced approach. It will take a bit more time, but I will tell you, once you start doing this, it exposes all of your weaknesses. It exposes your misconceptions, your biases. That, oh, it has to be going long. It has to be going long. It has to be going long. And your eagerness to get into a trade. When me and Marta started doing this, we were doing this in the 4-hour. And it was amazing to find that we were doing it for, the first time we tried it, we did it for about 20 minutes. And we entered long and short, and we didn't realize that, an entire week had gone by, and we didn't even realized the damn thing was chopping for an entire week, that it was just chopping. And we were we were doing an exercise, and mentally we were so eager to enter a position, and it was very enlightening, because it's like, wow, if I got impatient in 20 minutes of doing this, how the hell am I going to handle my live trading when I'm sitting there here for like a full 6 hours or 2 days waiting for a setup? So this is a very important approach that I do recommend. It can change your game dramatically. It takes a little bit more time, but like I said, you don't have to do it all at once. The horizontal approach, you're chunking, and move on to your projection. Hell, start with some projection too. Mix it up. Do a half hour of a horizontal approach, and then a half hour of your vertical projection. Okay. let me see how much more I have, and then I perhaps should stop here. Maybe I should come back another time. What do you think, Joe?
It's up to you, Doug. I mean, you can keep going for a while, or you can stop here and we can set up another follow-up session another time. It's up to you.
Well, I can keep going. I just don't want to keep everyone, like, what is the general consensus? Is everyone sick of this yet, or what?
Looks like everyone wants you to keep going, Doug. Just take as long as you need to. It is recorded.
Okay. All right, let me minimize this. Come on, my GoToMeeting thing wasn't docking. Okay. Put that back full screen. All right, I actually already covered this. As you can see, I can be prone to tangents, and some of the stuff that's already on the slides I may have actually already covered. So just a refresher, the F12 forward one bar. I just noticed somebody in the question said that their laptop does not have an F12. I didn't know those existed. Let's see. You can do one bar at a time. It's somewhere up here. It's called, step by step. I'll tell you what. The program that I developed has I bound the hotkey to the little tilde. Once you get the program, once you do the year's worth of levels and get the program, then the F12 will be no problem because you won't have to actually hit F12. And you primarily, you really should have done at least 1 year of levels before you're even looking at doing projection anyway, just because you need to be comfortable. Otherwise, your projection is just not going to be good, and you're going to get frustrated. It's going to piss you off. So the projection simulates the real-time thought process, as you saw. It forces that vertical analysis. It forces to look at the price action. What's the moving average doing? What's the TDI doing? Did I get a shift? All that stuff that Carr talks about in the 5-point. Now, if you're just doing levels, then you don't have to worry about, did a shift happen or stuff. That's more entry and whatnot. But still, just doing the levels without even thinking about an entry, still the projection is fantastic. And once again, take notes. And I'm going to show you my notes in a bit, just to show you what level you should be getting to, or at least shooting for. The next area of homework that you want to try to think about this is specialization. And this is a single criteria focus. You should see some of the weird-ass homework that I try. They allow you to hone a specific skill. For example, just doing TDI, just trading with your EMAs. Steve used to tell us a story about a group that he taught in Dubai, I think it was Dubai, where they really liked what he had to say about the moving averages, and they got to the point they took price action off the chart because they like what was going on with the moving averages. So I'll show you, for example, I have a template that only has the moving averages, and it allows me to check for different things that I've noticed with the moving averages from doing homework. I just decided, hey, let me do some moving average homework. Very specific, like setup specific homework. If you know what, I'm just going to look for safety trades. I'm just going to look for 22s. That you can easily do with the WSM viewer, but it's there for you. You have the WSM map, and it's right there for you, and that's fantastic. You should do it so you can see that stuff repeatedly and drill it into your head. This is what it looks like. But at the same time, to go back historically and go to 2009 Aussie Cat. No, don't do Aussie Cat. Pound, 2009 pound dollar, and I'm just going to just move my charts for a year, and go from look trades. I'm just going to look for 22 trades on the H1. I'm going to see if I can identify 15-minute 22 trades on the H1 just by looking at the candles. These kind of things. You can come up with whatever you want, but the idea is to restrict yourself. I'm just going to look for these, okay? And it works with both the previous methods, reverse engineering, vertical, horizontal, top to bottom, all that kind of stuff. But it does ingrain the nuances, because if you're forced And one of the most common things that Steve and Carr and Jim have talked about is just doing the TDI. If you're just doing the TDI and say you're just doing entries with only the TDI, and I mean no price whatsoever. Let's say we took this and we just said, you know what, I don't need to see price. I don't want to see price. So we're going to modify this. So all I can see is the TDI, okay? You could try it like that. Or you could actually literally get rid of everything, make this a bit bigger. And yeah, again, this is all just an example. I'll show you. Oops. Probably should have set this up before. I do apologize about the wait. Okay, now what we can do is we can change this to a line chart. For some reason the hotkey is not working. And I can go to the properties, line graph. Black, I can change that to the current chart color. Bam, all of a sudden there's no price. What are we ever to do? Well, that's the idea of the exercise. Look for your divergent price points. Mark down where perhaps you would have entered just right here. How can we do that? Well, we can do that with a vertical line. That's very common. We can draw and go, okay, let's say I'm following Carr's rules. I have a divergent W going on here, one leg outside of the band, one leg inside the band. It might be classically divergent, but we can't see price. It's crossed over the market baseline. It's crossed over the RSI line. Okay, I'm going to put my entry there, and I'll put my exits right here, actually. Let's just say we're doing this. We're pretending, okay? Let's say my exit would be right here because I wouldn't trust it. It tapped in the market, the volatility band 3 times, and it crossed back over the signal line. That's the 3rd time. I'll say that's my exit. So now what can we do? Say you do that for a bunch of these. You look over here. Okay, here's another entry that I could have taken right here. So we'll put in another vertical line and say, okay, there. Let's say that's my entry. Why? You know, one leg outside of the band, one leg inside the band. Let's say you do this a dozen times. Okay. Now what do? You just simply go back. Actually, you don't even need to do that. You can go over here and just turn on the candles again and see where would you have entered. What was the price pattern doing? And you can start reapplying your indicators to add new stimulus and go, oh, okay, you know what? That's interesting. It bounced off of the moving average. I didn't know that. Now that I put the moving average on, I see that. So the more you do certain things like that, the more you'll get in tune with how a certain indicator works, or, you know, it gets you in tune with the indicator or the certain thing that you're looking for, the certain specialization, whether it be a pattern or, in this example, the TDI. So there's your specialization. And once again, take notes. That's just the idea of how you can do different things, what specialization means for each one of the platforms. Set of specific indicators, specific pattern, specific gives you that nuanced, focused approach. And of course, the WSM viewer is more. It's really a drill to just be able to see something and go, bam, there's my setup. When you're doing the homework, I sort of already covered this, but you know, when you're doing the homework, you need to ask yourself various questions, and you should probably have these marked down on a little notepad. In a little file that you can reference. Specifically, you know, some people can't even answer the 5 things. You know, what are the 5 things for an entry, for example, that Carr talks about? What are the 5 most important parts of the market maker cycle, or you know, the entry, as Steve talks about? You know, the levels, timing. I'm sorry, the pattern, timing, and the levels. And then you got the 5 things over here from Carr. And then you got other things that you're supposed to look for. And there's different criteria for each one of the trades, and what is a 22, and what could potentially be a reset. So you should have this kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with having this stuff printed out and in front of you. but these are the things that you have to ask yourself when you're actually doing the homework. Where's the peak? Okay? What are the EMAs like? Are they trend or are they spaghetti? And the more you do these level homers, you're going to start to realize once the moving averages start pinching up, start getting next to each other, just pass. There's a dozen other patterns or a dozen other pairs out there that you can work with. Just pass. But it helps to still mark that stuff up and realize, wow, level 2 went on for 2 weeks. That's crazy. I would have been all over the place if I was trading this live. What level am I currently in, and what tells me that? That, the moving averages, the TDI, the ADR, historically you can't really do that. I'm working on a calculator for that right now that'll help you if you really want to get, in depth with the historical levels, because sometimes things don't look, you're like, what the hell level am I in? But you measure the ADR and you realize, oh, all right, I'm actually in level 2, but I only see one vertical rise or one vertical drop. Visually, it looks like level 1, but you know what? ADR, turns out I'm in level 2 or even level 3. And then asking yourself, what am I expecting? I'm in level 1. I'm looking for a stop hunt. Where? Where is it going to? Is this a reversal? Is this level 3? Is it a peak? Or is there a potential reset coming up, meaning it's going to be a continuation trade? What's the TDI looking like? All this stuff, you should have a list of criteria that you need to ask yourself, because when I get a chart that has 3 boxes on it, and then someone says, is this right? And I wasn't being silly. I literally mean there's 3 boxes and nothing else. No markup, no nothing. Aside from 3 boxes, no text, no anything explaining. It tells me that they just think, okay, I'm supposed to draw boxes, and that's what a level is. There's a lot of things to consider, and you need to make sure you're considering that. The nuanced portion of your big picture review and your projection is you also need to know what day it is, okay? These things are vitally important. Steve doesn't cover stuff just because he thinks it's going to be fun to cover it. What day is it? Is it Monday and Tuesday? Are we expecting a false move week beginning? Is it Friday? Are we expecting an end-of-week trap? Is it part of a midweek reversal? Is it a news day? Wow, this pair just went freaking crazy, and it's Wednesday. What? Oh, that's right. Wednesday's FOMC. This dropped out of nowhere at the end of the week. Gee, I'm going to look down and I'm going to see, wow, it's February 3rd or April 4th or whatever. What do you know? Friday, early in the month, that's, non-farm. Did Pound go crazy and it's in the middle of London? Well, Pound likes their 4:30 a.m. Eastern news. These are the kind of things that you should be looking at when you're doing the homework as well. If you see something that's a little out of whack, go to Forex Factory, check it out. You can go to Forex Factory and look up, the news for years. I do that a lot. But eventually you're going to get to know FOMC is Wednesday, non-farm, Friday, first Friday of the month, your pound news, 4:30. You're going to learn these things. CAD went crazy right before New York. Well, 8:30 news happens on CAD all the time before New York. These are the kind of things that you're going to experience over and over and over again, and they need to be a part of not just your homework, but your internalized thought process when you're trading live. Too often, and I've talked about this with some of the other, like I'm part of the DMR. I've talked to some of the DMR guys, and one of the most consistent things that they notice in some of the chats is people go, "Oh my God, news is coming out." Or, oh, I got killed because this, or should I take this long? No, FOMC is in 5 minutes. Oh, I didn't realize. Well, the more you pay attention to that stuff doing homework, the more you're going to internalize it, and it's vitally important. This is the final slide, I do believe, and I want to, for the benefit of everyone that's helping out, with answering homework. Carr, myself, Joe, Jim, Steve. I just want to cover asking properly. I already talked about getting charts with just a couple boxes, charts with a box and then maybe a question, is this level 3? Sometimes I've gotten charts with literally nothing. I don't mean just a few things, literally nothing. That's not hyperbolic there. So when you come across something, send a specific example, all right? Take a picture with a specific example marked up, and it's gonna be awesome because you're gonna get a reply. How many of you have sent a question and you haven't gotten a reply? I know there's some I haven't replied to just because I'm like, well, you know what? The email that I have to write is probably going to take me 20 minutes just to kind of pick apart all the different things that the answer could be because this wasn't specific enough. So make your example specific, write out the question, and be detailed with what you think it is, why you think it is, but also why you might be confused. Okay, and I'm going to show you something real quick. Saving a picture in the terminal. Because a lot of people snip, and that's fine. That's great. You should have a snipping tool. I snip all the time. Snip, snip, snip. But if you have a question, a really cool thing that you could do, for example, actually, let me just put the default back on here so it looks normal. Okay, so let's say, and actually I'll start doing some homework here for you. Let's say we're doing some homework and we see, okay, this would look like a peak. We have plenty of fall. That's, okay, end of the week, trap move. Okay, now we start getting some level 1, and then, would this be level 1? Because, I mean, it did cross right there, and this is consolidation, or is this level 1, or is this level 2? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask car. I'm going to go up to the File menu, and I'm going to save this picture, all right? What you want to do is active chart, okay, and you click OK. This is going to bring up a little dialog box as soon as it actually does. Oh, apparently my click didn't work. It'll want to automatically save in templates. I prefer putting it into the pictures. You can do that if you want, but it's always going to try and save it in this template. So what you do, click New Folder, and then Chart Questions. And then name it just how you want, but write down the question in a separate file. What I recommend is keeping a little text file. You want to have all your notes. Why isn't it saving? There we go. I recommend this. Is this level 2 or level 1? Okay, just a little information on the picture that you're going to send, and then in the email, make it detailed. Is this level 1 because the EMA crossed as it started to pull down over here, or is this level 2 because this was the consolidation? Whatever you want to ask, please be detailed. And it might be one way. This allows, okay, they're confused about this. They don't understand this. This is their weak spot. Instead of just a couple boxes and then, help me. Or is this right? So that's what I would recommend. Now, I think actually that is about it for right now. I was going to actually go through some homework with you, but up until this point, I think I've done enough examples for everybody to get the gist. Does everybody want to do a brief Q&A? If there's any questions, any concerns, doubts, absolute confusion? Okay, cool. We have a couple. All right. Thank you, David. What about the program you mentioned? All right. The program is what allows me to do the drawing on the chart without actually clicking any of the buttons. It's called the Homework Helper, and what I will offer you guys is if you send in at least 1 year of level homework on a single pair, I repeat, a single pair, a full year worth of levels marked up with all the goodies, moving average crossovers, the rectangle boxes, text showing that this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3, etc. And please feel free, if you are absolutely confused, you can do this. It's, there's no shame in not knowing what you're doing or being confused about a certain level. So if you send a template copy, and I saw somebody ask, how the hell do you send a template? I'm going to show that in a second. Then I will send you a link to the program. This is what's going to force you to at least do some homework if you've never done some homework. I, worked on the program for a very long time. I'm not just giving it away. So it requires payment from you, and that payment is in the form of homework. Now, to save a template, I already covered that, but to send it, okay, here's what you're going to do. You go up to File, Open Data Folder. Opening your data folder will open the folder that contains all the minutia of your program. You can't just go down to it didn't click. You can't go down here and right-click and then right-click this and then go to Properties and then go to Open File Location. The way Windows works after Vista is it keeps all the program data in a completely different region, and this is the path to the region. It's ridiculous, and no one's going to remember how to get there for the most part. So all you do is you go to the file, you go to Open Data Folder like I just showed you. Once you're in here, you go into Templates. That's where all your templates are. Once you do that, you can pretty much drag this into any email application that you have. Even Gmail within Google. If you just create a new, compose, if you hit compose and you open and create a new email, you can just go, I want to send my 4-hour GU swing completed. You could just drag that over there and we'll add it as an attachment. And then you send it to me and Carr. And I'm going to show that to you right now. Boom, 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 boom. btmmstudygroup@gmail.com. This was originally set up only for Carr's new study group, but seeing as how I'm making the offer of the program for anybody now, even throughout the full DMR, who is willing to put in the work to do just 1 year. And remember, guys, Steve did 5 years of each of the 6 majors or 7 majors. He did 5 years before the other guy, before his mentor would even continue the education. I'm just asking you for 1 year worth of levels, and then you will get this program. It's at btmmstudygroup@gmail.com, and please name the template, levels, time frame, pair, and then your name. Okay? So, for example, levels H1 EU Richie. This way I know what it is, what the time frame is, what the pair is. Of course, this is all for levels, so it's only going to be H1. But in the future, if you want to send a or something like that, then so I think that answered that question. Thank you very much, Patty. Thank you, Herman. Appreciate it. If you have a good setup on level and red news is coming, would you still hold it or exit and wait for setup? Me personally, even though they use the news to complete the pattern and all that stuff, it depends on what the news is. If it's FOMC or NFP, no, I'm not. I don't even trade those days. I take off. I have a 3-day weekend at least once a month, and I have a Wednesday off once a month. Sometimes I do stick around just to watch it, but I generally don't trade during those. If it's some other red news, like a PMI or CCI, I might stick with it, but generally I wait till after, because if they really complete the pattern, then it's not just going to go and then, oh, gee, I missed it. Usually, there's a pullback because sometimes you do miss it, but who cares? So I typically don't even trade if there's red news coming up. I will wait till after it, and if there's a legitimate pullback, intraday 50-50 or something like that, then I'll get in at a later point. That's another great thing about doing homework. You realize, man, there's so many additional opportunities to get in at a later point. It's ridiculous. I'm not even going to sweat it. Jose, mail. That's what I just posted. Let me, 1 second. btmmstudygroup@gmail.com. There, I'll leave that up for you. For some reason, I hit the auto scroll and it went back. Did you say we send the homework on the H1 chart? Yes. You're doing the levels. That's what I want to see. I want to see that you guys are doing the levels. That's the biggest confusion, and that's really what I covered right now. Is because people, gee, how do I do the levels? And if I encounter confusion, what do I do about my confusion? Oh, this is so confusing. So hopefully I cleared a lot of that up for you. How to approach doing the levels. There were a few slides you skipped in the middle of the presentation. What were they about? That was mainly about having a homogeneous style. Using a certain color for the level boxes, using a certain color for the trend lines and stuff like that. Because we get some very weird markups, and at least if you're not sticking to rectangles for the levels and ellipses for the crossovers, et cetera, I have seen people use boxes for the crossovers with boxes for the levels, and then boxes to outline a setup, and that gets confusing. I don't know what I'm looking at. So that's what that stuff was about. But most people are good about that, and we were running over time. Could you show the file name again? I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you show the file name? Oh, the template file name, the naming convention. Oops, no, I didn't want to open. I'm sorry, it keeps hitting load template. Okay, levels, time frame, pair, or you could do pair time frame. That's not a big deal, but I just want to know what it is. Some form of this naming convention. Levels underscore time frame underscore pair, then your name. This way I can just load it up and immediately I don't have to go back and look and see what is this. So thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you, Joe. Exactly, Leah. Regarding that program you're offering, it is 1 year, 1 hour levels marked up of any pair, and I should send one whole year, send my levels each week or month. Didn't catch that. 1 whole year, do the entire year. It might take you a week, it might take you a couple weeks. And I'm glad you asked this because it brings up one part that I did forget to cover even the last time, and a couple people were like, please cover that. You have to schedule this stuff, okay? In your blueprint, in your, I was talking about having an objective, knowing what your blueprint is. Don't just sit down and go, okay, I'm going to do levels. Do that, but say I'm going to sit down and do levels for an hour today, and you need to chunk this stuff. You do yourself a vast disservice by sitting down and just trying to do a bunch of homework for 8 hours without getting up, or even 2 hours with getting up. There's a little technique called the Pomodoro technique, okay? And it's the idea of taking 25-minute chunks and 5-minute breaks, and you break it up. You break whatever you're doing up into that, and I can't tell you, it's so fantastic. It alleviates the pressure to do a bunch of stuff, but it also creates enough time for you to get a significant amount of stuff done without weighing your subconscious down with, oh my God, I have to do all this homework. One of the biggest parts about procrastination is we get ourselves all worked up over nothing. Okay, oh, I have all this to do. Well, you know what? They did some brain scans years ago for a study. I think it was for Stanford, and they found out that procrastinating, thinking about doing a task that you don't want to do, actually creates a pain response in your brain. It actually triggers pain in your brain, an emotional pain, not a physical pain, obviously. But they found that once you start doing the task for a minimum of 5 minutes, that stuff goes away. And in fact, you start to find joy in it because you start to accomplish something. So what this Pomodoro technique allows you to do is it allows you to break up a larger task or a repeating task that never ends, like homework. I don't mean to sound scary, but literally never ends. It allows you to organize chunks of your life into small, maintainable, and accomplishable chunks of time that you can accomplish something without getting worked up over it and without lying to yourself and saying, I can't schedule this. I have too much. We all know life gets in the way, but you can schedule at least 1 hour per day. Most of you can get that done. And what you would do is 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break. Just start with that. And once you get started, you'll be amazed at how quickly you'll actually get through this stuff. Before you know it, a week's gone by and you did a full year because, wow, holy crap, I didn't even realize I could mark up 3 months worth of levels in an hour. And the additional part of this, that 5-minute break, and now I'm kind of getting into Jim's territory, is that the way we tend to learn is we have two modes of thinking. We have our focused mode and what's called the diffuse mode. When you're studying something, when you're actively working on something, a new concept, you're teaching yourself something, you have to go into the focus mode, okay? It's just what your brain does. Your brain goes into like a different state of being. And this is not esoteric new wave shit. This is literal. This is neuroscience. So when you're learning something, you're creating new neural pathways. You're learning to form links between, knowledge that you already have and knowledge that you're trying to gain. But when you're away, when you take those breaks, when you go and wash the dishes, when you go take a bathroom break, when you're in the shower, when you're just walking outside and taking a breath of fresh air, your brain can relax and it goes into what's called the diffuse mode. And often, often, because the other time that your brain does this is when you're asleep. That's why sleep is vitally important. During these breaks, you'll be amazed at how often during these breaks your brain goes, oh, now I get it. Because you'll be learning something confuses you. It's during these breaks, it's the bathroom break, it's washing or folding the laundry, that you go, oh. So it's important to take these breaks. And that's why most often you'll come to the conclusion of a problem that's been bothering you for the longest time right before you're about to go to sleep, because that's the moment that your brain is relaxed. When you're driving, your brain is just in autopilot. You don't have to think, and literally part of your brain is going, all right, you guys got this handled. I'm going to go take care of this problem that we've been working on that we couldn't figure out. And it starts to make the connections, the neural connections, stronger. It's a very interesting concept. I'll leave it at that, but that's why it's important to take these breaks. Do not do 2 hours of homework without getting up and stretching, and that's another important thing. Get up, stretch, move your body, get the blood flowing. It energizes you. It actually increases your IQ or not your IQ, your learning ability. It increases the amount that you're able to retain and the quickness with which you learn things, fitness and whatnot. Just getting up and getting the blood flowing will absolutely revitalize you, and that's why this 25-minute on, 5-minute off it's a wonderful technique. So please use that. You'd be amazed at the amount of work that you can get done with it. So, thank you very much, Rick. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Phil. Okay, so if there's no other questions, I sincerely apologize. 8:42. We went for an hour and 45 minutes. I guess I can't ever make fun of Jim anymore. So. You're very welcome, everyone. And I guess that's it. We'll call it a night. The questions seem to be over, and I think we covered everything. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Caesar. Thank you, Farzad. Okay, Joe, do you want to close down? You have anything to add? Anything coming up? Any house cleaning that you wanted to mention?
No house cleaning, and thanks Doug for doing this. I'm sure it was really good stuff. I'm sure a lot of people found it very helpful. It will be hung in the forum, so you can listen to it as many times as you want. And again, thanks for doing this, Doug, and hope everyone has a great evening. And don't forget, Car's magical pre-market session is less than 6 hours away for London. So London traders, make sure you're there. We'll see you then. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.